Hey everybody, I'm Jason Creel, and in this video I'm going to talk to you about 3 different pre-emergent applications that you can do, different products, and the reasons behind the differences in these products and which ones to use in your situation. If your lawn is full of weeds, one of the reasons is probably because you did not do a pre-emergent application, or maybe you did it at the wrong time or used the wrong product. I had a guy yesterday talking to me about his yard, and he had a lot of weeds popping up early in the year, and he seemed like he was thinking that those weeds just started a week or 2 before. But no, actuality, early in the year, these weeds were showing up that started to germinate and grow back in the previous fall, and they just now were getting big enough where they were becoming a real eyesore in his lawn. So a well-timed pre-emergent application is one of the most important things you can do to have a weed-free lawn, or at least not weed-free totally, that may be unrealistic, but a really nice looking lawn with minimal weeds. So let's talk about the pre-emergent products that you can use and the differences between the 3 I'm going to show you today. All right, so let's go over these 3 products. First one is called Resolute. I'm going to talk about the active ingredient here. You see there is Prodiamine, and then you've got Dimension, and then you've got Specticle Flow. Now, these are all 3 products that I put in a big spray tank here. You can see on the truck, I've got a big spray tank, a 300-foot hose over there that I spray lawns with. And you say, well, I may not have that. Well, the good thing for you is all of these products also come in a granular form. But let's talk about the differences in the lawns and what I'll tell you what I'm using these products for and when I apply them. So let's first start with Resolute, and again, the active ingredient is Prodiamine. You may see Prodiamine under different names on the actual product label, like Barricade or something like that. It may come in a granular form. It says a 007 with Prodiamine. You may get a 007 with Dimension. We'll talk about that one next. But Resolute is one that I use a lot. Now, what is great about it is it's a very affordable product, and it's also extremely effective on crabgrass. So I'm gonna start spraying this early in the year. Now let me just go ahead and clarify that I'm in Alabama, and so we're spraying yards pretty much year round. I mean, not spraying, but we work on our yards year round. So I understand if you're in a cooler climate, then these time frames that I'm gonna give you are gonna be different. And if you're in a warmer climate, they're also gonna be adjusted. And also, it may even change from year to year depending on the weather patterns we get in a particular year. It may be, you may have a warm spring or a cool spring. But in general, you know, crabgrass germinates around 55 degrees when the soil temperatures reach 55 degrees. So what does that mean in actuality? Well, again, that's going to change from year to year depending on the weather. So what does that mean as far as time frame? Well, in my area, the crabgrass typically germinates as the air temperatures start getting up in the 70s. It's typically sometime around early March, sometimes even late February if it warms up early. But it's better to be early than late on your pre-emergent application, because if you're late and the crabgrass is already germinated, then this product is not going to help you a whole lot. Now we can talk about what to do in that situation later, but so it's better to put out early. So that's why, as a lawn care business, I'm out spraying on January the 2nd. Take New Year's Day off sometimes, but you know, you get out there that next day and you want to get this on the ground because you got hundreds of lawns to take care of, and to make sure that you can put this product out before the crabgrass starts germinating, which again, in my area, could be as early as late February. Now, one trick that I was taught is, you know, might not be able to test the soil temperatures and things like that. Again, you can sort of gauge it based on the air temperature, but there's a woody shrub that's called a forsythia. It's woody and it has bright yellow flowers early in the year. And I was told that the crabgrass typically germinates about the time those blooms start falling off of the forsythia plant. I actually planted some in my house so I can see for myself when those forsythia blooms start to fall off. All right, so what I do with the Prodiamine on my centipede and St. Augustine yards, I do the first application sometime in January or early February. I'll put out a very light rate of the Prodiamine on centipede and St. Augustine lawns. Those typically don't have as much crabgrass problems, but on my Bermuda and zoysia lawns, I'll do 2 applications, split applications. So I'll put it out in round 1, January to early February, and then come back again late February through March and do a second dose of Resolute, and I'm mixing that with post-emergents like a 3-way product or metsulfuron, or you know, whatever you want to use. I put atrazine in there in round 1, and that helps control the broadleaf weeds while also preventing the future weeds. Now, let's say you get on later in the spring and somebody calls you, or maybe you're watching this video and you're saying, oh, I'm too late. I've already missed it. The forsythia blooms have fallen off. The crabgrass has already germinated. What do I do now? Well, if you know, again, for our area, if it started in March and I'm susceptible to possibly being late on the application, I'm thinking, you know what, you can use Dimension, which can also work as a pre-emergent, but it also has some post-emergent activity. So if that crabgrass is very young in its life cycle, maybe you can't even see it unless you get really down on your hands and knees and look in the lawn, and you might start seeing a little bit around the edge of the driveway where those soil temperatures are a little warmer. Then you could go with a product like Dimension. It's going to be a more expensive product than the Prodiamine. Also comes in a granular form, but it will help control that baby crabgrass. Now, as it gets, the older the crabgrass gets, the later in the spring you get, the less effective it's going to be at controlling the crabgrass. But that is one option. And if you're you want to go that option, you could. Sometimes what I've been doing, I've been putting just a straight post-emergent product for crabgrass in there starting in March and on into April. Something like Drive Accelerate is a product that I use, and even I'll mix it and put a little bit of Prodiamine in there to help with other future weeds. But you know, just thinking maybe the Drive as a post-emergent product will help get rid of that crabgrass. Now you come over here, well, let me say this on the Dimension, you know, I don't use it at all on my existing customers, because you know what, if I get that Prodiamine out on time, then I don't really feel necessary to use a more expensive product like Dimension to come in there and try to, you know, there shouldn't be any crabgrass if I get my Prodiamine out on time. So why would I go in there with a more expensive product? I've already controlled it with a very effective product like Prodiamine. Now, the last product I'm going to talk about today is Specticle Flow. And what I typically do, I'm going to talk about 2 ways that I can use, or actually maybe 3. But Specticle I'm using in the fall primarily. On this year I started using on all my warm season grasses, bermuda, zoysia, centipede, and St. Augustine. On the centipede and St. Augustine, I was using a lower rate, like 4 or 4.5 ounces per acre. On the bermuda and zoysia, I was using just 1 application in the fall around September, October, of 6.5 ounces per acre. The reason I use Specticle Flow, which is you know, going to be more expensive product than Prodiamine you can also use in the fall, but Specticle Flow is going to be more effective on Poa annua, and you know, just a very long-lasting pre-emergent herbicide that can give you some great control for many months. So it's a great product, and that's the reason for me just wanting my yards to look nice and clean throughout the spring. And if I do that, then there's hopefully not as many weeds to have to deal with the fall and spring. It's particularly weeds like Poa, which can be difficult and expensive to control from a post-emergent standpoint. But I'm going to start using Specticle Flow in the springtime just on a few yards that I know have a doveweed problem, and I'm going to go in there and try to time it right, because what I've been told is that Specticle can help out with doveweed control from a pre-emergent standpoint if you time it right. Now that's after the crabgrass has already germinated, and doveweed's one of those tough weeds to control from a post-emergent standpoint. It usually takes 2 applications of a product like Celsius or Surge, or there's some other good doveweed products out there. All right, so what did we learn? If your yard looks like this and you've got patches of weeds all in the yard, it's not something that just started last week, even though you may just now be seeing it and they may be getting larger and uglier. Also, typically when I'm applying a pre-emergent application, I'm also putting post-emergents in there. So I'm trying to prevent future weeds best I can, but I'm also trying to get rid of any existing weeds. So when I put out the Prodiamine, I've got a 3-way product in there. I've got atrazine in there. When I put out Specticle Flow in the fall, you might put 2,4-D or metsulfuron, or we use simazine to help control, you know, because you may be a little bit late. You may have already missed your window. There may be some Poa that's already germinated in the fall, and you need that post-emergent to try to wipe it out. And that's the good thing about Specticle Flow, is it has a little bit of reach back ability to hopefully get that baby POA if you're a little bit late. Just similar in the way that the dimension would for crabgrass early in the year. So, you know, there's always a number of factors, cost of the product, the effectiveness, but the timing is very important on these things. But it is typically, even though sometimes you might have a little sticker shock on these prices, typically it is cheaper and more effective to use a pre-emergent for these weeds than to go at them with a post-emergent later on. I'm Jason Creel. I really appreciate you watching the video. If you're getting in the weed control and fertilization or business or would like to, you can go over to lawncarelife.com. There's resources available over there, including the Weed Control and Fertilization Academy, where I've got a lot of dedicated videos, and we have another option that comes with all the video courses to help you put together your program, your pricing, and there's an interactive group where there's like 20 spots starting in March, so if that's something you're into. Hopefully the video made sense. Leave comments below. Appreciate hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel and the notification bell so that you can be notified, and just go search out the other videos on the channel. You can do a YouTube search and type in Lawn Care Life behind whatever you're searching for, whether it be weed identification, weed control, and there's a lot of videos about mowing, lawn care equipment, or just go click on my channel name and you can go to the channel homepage and click on videos and you can check out all the videos. There's over 500 on the channel. Appreciate you watching. Talk to you guys later. Bye.